Meeting will be first thing by Friday.
Go ahead and call this meeting of the Pittsburg City Commission to order. Would you stand with me for our invocation given by Pete Mayo from Via Christi this evening?
Thank you very much, and let us pray. We lift our hearts and minds to you, O God, and we ask for your wisdom to govern. Help us to listen and respond to the needs of the people in our community. We ask your blessing on this commission meeting, on the people of Pittsburg. Help us to work together for the common good. Grant us favorable weather and your protection at all times. Amen.
Amen. You join me in the flag salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and
Thanks, Pete.
Commissioner Johnson will be joining us by phone this evening. So at this time, we will open the floor for public input. Is there anybody here to speak under public input this evening? Not, we'll go ahead and close that and move to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed?
If there are none, I'd move to approve.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve. Roll call vote.
Johnson?
Aye.
Ketterman?
Aye.
Munsell?
Aye.
Mernan?
Aye.
Okay. Consider the following. WWTP Legacy Control System upgrade. Staff is requesting governing body approval of a change order number 108T reflecting an increase of $122,520, making a new contract construction amount of $446,441 for the wastewater treatment plant legacy control system upgrade project, subject to KDHE approval. Matt?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As an ongoing effort with our contractor, Greenway Electric, for the improvements to the SCADA controls, or system advisory controls, big computer screen that runs all the plant. These changes reflect upgrades to our raw sewage pumps. 2 of those are an on-demand pump. This will reflect them to be a variable speed drive, which basically in turn saves energy in the long run and shares the wear across all pumps to extend the life of. Currently, two are only VFDs. We're going to make all 4, so they'll share the loading across all pumps. Other work includes some of the aerobic blowers, which also runs the air pumps, pump the air in, upgrade those motors. Some of our panel replacement in the bar screen control. Those panels have electrical components. It's in the hydrogen sulfide in those environments kind of rotted and eroded those. Also the same thing at our airport lift station. It's for upgrading and rebuilds there. And then to monitor 2 of our other outlying lift stations so that we can see those within our system and control them. Is there anything I could answer for you tonight?
Have any no questions?
I just want to make sure, this is a change order.
This is a change order.
Okay, so
for
we've been
additional work
doing
through the
this
contract.
work. You're expanding the scope of the
And
work.
Dr. Bailey actually had the conversation. This is on a revolving loan fund
Yeah.
through KDHE.
Yeah.
And we've already been given a preliminary approval from KDHE that we could move forward with this change order, granting approval tonight.
And so we knew this was coming.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember talking about that. Okay. I'd move to approve.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Matt.
Plat, Kansas Crossing subdivision. The Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a meeting on August 22nd, 2016 to review the final plat of Kansas Crossing subdivision. Professional engineering consultants on behalf of James Walker, Kansas Crossing Casino, has submitted a plat for review of the 134 acres that was an island annexation to the city of Pittsburg. Proposed plat contains 3 lots that will allow for future development of the property.
Mayor and Commissioners, in August 22nd, last night meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, we heard a presentation for the plat of the New Kansas Crossing subdivision. What this does is currently there's one large lot out there that's 134 acres, and what they're doing is subdividing it into 3 lots. Makes it conducive to more, basically more development in the future, and also sections off the lots. And then they work with the city closely to call out all the different easements that are needed for that new development out there. So the Planning and Zoning Commission, like I said, reviewed the plat, not unanimously approved to recommend that plat for approval to the City Commission tonight. So, any questions? I can.
It was not unanimous?
It was unanimous.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
unanimous, okay.
Excuse me.
What's the size of the lots that?
Oh, let's see. There's the 134 total. I think I got a copy right here. Let me look real quick. So I'm not telling you wrong. There's 3 lots. There's a center lot that's basically roughly 3.5 acres.
Let's say again?
Roughly 3.5 acres. There's a small lot in the center. There's a larger lot beside that one. I want to tell you wrong here. It's 56 acres, and then there's the even larger lot to the outside is 77 acres. So they basically split that 134 into 3 different lots. So.
I don't have any further questions. If there's none, I'll move to approve.
Second it?
Been moved and seconded. Approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Plat Miller Edition. The Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a meeting on August 22nd, 2016 to review the final plat of the Miller Edition to Pittsburg, Kansas. Ozark Civil Engineering will be submitting the plat on behalf of Norman Miller and Tractor Supply Company to subdivide approximately 6 acres of land near the 2800 block of North Broadway. The proposed plat contains 4 lots that will allow for future development of the area, as well as a future West 28th Street to be constructed as part of the Tractor Supply development.
Mayor and Commission as well, last night at the Planning and Zoning meeting, we reviewed a plat for the Miller Edition. This was basically roughly 6 to 7 acres that was west of Broadway, kind of around the 2800 block of North Broadway. Currently, everything was served in the back by kind of a private drive that was in there. So as part of the Tractor Supply development and with Norman Miller, we're actually dedicating a new street to be put back in there. And they're also subdividing that one large lot into four separate lots as well. So with this one as well, we took one large plot of land that was all a meets and bounds, real long legal description, and we're redoing that and actually platting it, putting in a street, and then making it conducive for future development. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed it, and then also unanimously approved to recommend this to the City Commission for approval.
Questions or?
I don't have any. I move to approve.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Troy.
Resolution 1185. Consider approval of Resolution 1185 authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in the amount of $6,500,000 to fund certain on-site and off-site water, sewer, and stormwater improvements for Kansas crossings.
We'll go ahead and finish this one, and then we jumped over one. We catch it.
Okay,
We'll
sorry.
make Jamie get up and get down and get up and get down.
Take it up a
I
little
mean,
bit.
you want to go ahead
Don.
and do D first, or?
No, because you already read this, and I don't want you to have to read it twice, because I know it's no fun.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Resolution 1185 is a funding authorization for the costs to be reimbursed for the water and sewer utility lines going to the casino. There will be a special assessment on the casino property that will repay the city annually for the cost of the bonds over 15 years. Is there any questions on that?
And this is what we've seen before also. This is just.
Correct,
We're
correct.
moving into the, if
Right.
there aren't any questions, I'd move to approve.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jamie.
Jamie?
Okay, now I'll back up here. Public Improvement Agreement, Pittsburg LLC. Consider approval of a public improvement agreement between the City of Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh T LLC to extend public utilities and a new roadway to access the Tractor Supply Company development.
Mayor, members of the commission, 2 items ago, we talked about the Tractor Supply Company and the plat. This is a necessary improvement agreement, basically because as the road was being considered and designed, there was considerable negotiation on the width and the depth and what was in there and how it was going to end. Originally, there was just a turnaround, but since we're going to do North Walnut, we had to connect all of them together. As we walked through it, anytime the negotiations get to a point that cash is going to exchange hands, we thought it was necessary to get a public improvement agreement developed. So Henry worked with their attorney. Pretty good process overall. I think Tractor Supply Company's been in town close to, 18 months looking for a site. So this is a big step for them. Really what's in this agreement is pretty simple. We've agreed to the specifications of the road, so we know exactly how deep it'll be, what material it will be made out of, how long it will be. The city has offered up $20,000 towards the construction of the street, so we could, we didn't want to ask them. The original plan was a much smaller road. Since it needed to be a city street, we wanted to help them and incentivize them to come to Pittsburgh and show them that we appreciate what they were doing, and realize the cost that they're putting into it. The last piece of it really deals with inspections, and it just lays out all those details. They may sound trivial right now, but it's pretty critical when you're talking about a development company. So Henry put a lot of time in on this. The staff put a lot of time in on this. And I'd like to say thanks to Rick Wilson and his company. They're pretty easy to work with, and I think this will probably be the last step before we can move forward and get them going.
If I have any questions.
Okay, so in our packet, just one second. It's an agreement and the resolution 1185, it's 2 pieces?
It's 2 different things. 1185, actually in your packet, I think the agreement comes first,
Yes,
and it's about 6 pages.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But the 2 things do
They're
belong.
related to the same project.
Yes, okay, that's what I
You
thought.
got it.
I just want to double check.
One of them is selling the bonds, and this agreement is really just for the road, and the fact
Yeah,
that the
okay.
city's going to put $20,000 towards construction of that road.
Just want to make sure I understood. I'd move to approve.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Resolution number 1186. Consider approval of resolution number 1186, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds in the amount of $255,000 to fund extension of North Walnut Street between 28th and 29th Street.
This is a funding authorizing resolution for the approximate 1 block between the TIP district street on the 29th and the new 28th street that's going in. It's going to put a connection street in there. The cost will be split 3 ways between the city, a third to the city, a third to Bob Boys, and a third to Norman Miller, who have signed special assessment petitions for this project. So this just gives us the funding authorization for that project to move forward.
And was there something different on the one on our Better Place as opposed to the one in the packet?
The resolution that you have sitting before you on your desk, there was a typo in the original resolution that's been cleared up.
Okay.
Amounts are the same.
Yeah.
But the name of one of the entities
Got it.
is now correct, or at least more accurate.
Okay, great. That's
Essentially, it went from all Quip rent-on sales to Equipped Inc. That's the change.
Great, okay.
It should go, once again, I think the amount of effort that was behind this, working with the two entities, Bob Boyce and Norman Miller, the opportunity to have each of us participate up to $80,000 saves the taxpayers a ton of money. The first thing that jumps out at you is when we improve this area, not only will we be giving another entry point for the Tractor Supply Company, so we're helping that development. We're also taking off a load on Broadway, but we're putting in a new road which will allow for the cleanup of roughly 4 to 5 lots that are owned by Bob Boyce and Norman Miller that have been in that state for probably, 80 years. We'll clean up that material similar to what we did in the TIF district. It'll make more land in Pittsburgh developable. It'll have a better access point so we can get some of the bigger trucks off of Broadway, get them turning up there at the light at the TIF district and coming around that way. So it's just really a project that touches on 3 or 4 things that are critical to the city of Pittsburgh continuing to grow, which is leveraging our money, cleaning up as we go, giving good traffic options to our community, and I think more importantly, creating partnerships in the community like we have with Bob and Norman in this case.
Yeah.
So they can feel good about their efforts to do business here and that we want them here and that we want to continue to grow Pittsburgh, and maybe some other people that have an opportunity will work with us too. It's something, but it's nice to put in a $240,000 road for $80,000, and we appreciate them working with us.
Long-time business people here in town.
Yep.
If there are any questions, I'll keep on my roll and move to approve.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Jamie. Make sure I don't skip something else here.
Good.
Resolution number 1187, consider approval of resolution number 1187, authorizing and providing for the public sale of general obligation bonds, Series 2016A, and taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2016B, of the city of Pittsburgh, Kansas, setting forth the details of said sale and providing for and giving notice thereof.
This is a authorizing resolution to allow us to actually sell the bonds for the projects we've been discussing. 2016A bonds will be for the projects of South Rouse, the airport improvements, and the 28th Street, the North Walnut Street, connector street there, in the over by the 28th and 29th Street area. The other bond, the 2016B bond, is the bonds we're going to issue for the casinos to pay for the construction of the utilities, and then they'll be repaid back with the special assessments on the casino. Any questions on this part? This is just a legal requirement that allows us to proceed with the actual putting out the bonds prospectus, and we got to publish some legals for the bonds sale and everything like that.
If there's no questions, I'll move to approve.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded approval. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Putting that together.
Non-agenda reports and requests.
We do have one. Tim?
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. I apologize coming to you non-agenda. It's not what we like to do. In April of this year, let me back up. I guess I should say we participate and have for several opportunities a funding cycle through the Department of Justice called the Bulletproof Vest Partnership. What this does is it allows us to replace the body armor that the officers wear on the street daily. It has a 5-year manufacturer warranty and shelf life, and at the end of that warranty, we replace it. The Bulletproof Vest Partnership is a grant cycle put on by the Department of Justice that gives us up to 50% of the cost of replacing those vests. So what you have in front of you is, in April of this year, we solicited bids for the replacement of 28 vests. Those are vests worn by the officers in the department now. We have more than that on the street, but with the hiring that we've done over the last couple of years, 28 is the only ones that are within that 4.5 to 5 year window for replacement. This one's a little unique. This grant's a little unique. You have to solicit bids and identify the vest first. Then we submit it to the Department of Justice, and they run it through to make sure, number one, that the cost is appropriate, and number two, that the vest meets the stringent NIJ standards, which is what bullets it'll stop and all that wear. So we did that on April 19th. We sent out bid solicitations and had 2 returned. We opened those. One was Ed Rohr Safety Products out of St. Louis, Missouri, and the other was GT Distributors out of Austin, Texas. These are for Safariland vests, and so these are the local representatives for Safariland. We sent that off to the government back in April, sent it off to DOJ. We just got notified yesterday morning that we've received our grant in the amount of $10,217.90. That's 50% of the low bid received from GT Distributors on the approved vest. So the reason I'm coming before you tonight is to ask for your permission to award the bid to GT Distributors so that we can move forward with our vest purchase. Everybody across the country started getting notified yesterday, and the next commission meeting isn't for 3 weeks. We're hoping to get somebody in and get measured and get our bid in, or our order in quickly, because if you stand in line, it could be clear into next spring before we get them. So that's why we're here outside tonight, and I'll entertain any questions that you might have on this.
What'd you say about 50%?
So the total bid was for 28 vests at $729.85 per vest, made the total purchase $20,435.80. Our match share is $10,217.90, and the other 50% will be paid by the Department of Justice through this grant program. So it's basically buy one, get one free, I guess.
Tim, you mentioned a caliber bullet. What caliber bullet will these vests not stop?
These threat levels will cover most of what we would encounter on the street, up to, I want to say, a .45 caliber handgun, and then certain levels of rifles.
Do these include any plates or inserts?
They do. They carry what's called a central trauma plate, which is a plate that goes over the vital organs in the center. They also include 2 carriers. So the vest panels fit in these carriers so the officers can take one carrier home, wash it, clean it up, and still have another one. You might imagine wearing these every day and they get a little warm, so they do need cleaned.
I'd move to approve.
I second it.
Been moved and seconded approval. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing the grant paperwork.
Anything else?
Just one more item. It's not really an item, it's kind of a recap. It's a pretty quick meeting to spend $12 million, so I wanted to recap for the citizens, kind of the general intent. Tonight you went through a process through 3 or 4 different projects. Basically, we authorized nearly $12 million in expenses. The takeaways from that should be, these are for roads, these are for utilities, these are leveraged at, I think the total I wrote down was 5.2 million of that is what the city spent, and 6.6 of that was either paid by the casino, individual developers in town, but it doesn't go without saying that the work of the staff to find these partners, to identify these projects, to prioritize them into an order that you can make an easy funding decision about. We're not going to come to you every year and ask you to, hey, here's another $30 million of projects. Let's go sell debt. Let's go sell bonds and incur debt. This is all a bigger plan. I think Cameron's been on board for about a year now as an engineer. There's not a meeting that we don't have, whether it's about a roads or utilities, that he's not sitting down. Dr. Bailey, who feels like he's been here for 50 years, is always at the table and making sure that when you put in utilities, they go in the right way. But I think it's important for the taxpayers to understand that whether you like casinos, whether you like hotels, whether you like Tractor Supply companies, they all want to be here, and we've opened our arms to them, and every time we do, we come out with a very taxpayer-friendly, if you will, situation where we're not just picking up the bill or incentivizing somebody to come here. So it is a big deal. The last thing I'll mention, we just got an email from Senator Moran's office that we received a $1.2 million federal grant to extend the airport runway next year. So there will be more bonds to be sold and discussions to be had, but all of those are 80-20 or 90-10. We only pay a very small percent, and that's another public improvement that doesn't affect everybody, and I understand that everybody doesn't always follow what's going on at the airport or what's going on with the hotels and the casinos, but it's all part of a bigger picture that Pittsburgh is growing, and we're doing it as frugally, if that's a word, as possible, always using other people's money if we can, and knowing that we also have a role that we have to partner as we go. So just want to make sure that it didn't go by. I don't want anybody sitting home going, I think they just spent $12 million, and I didn't really catch it. It is a big deal. You guys have been aware of this all along, and we appreciate your help and your guidance, but I want to make sure we don't do these projects every week, and when we do
There
do
wasn't
them,
anything on here, even in consent, that wasn't collaborative in nature.
No.
And that's always good,
it's good stuff.
always good.
That's all I had, Mayor.
Good, good, good.
Okay, so nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to dismiss.
Move to adjourn, how about that?
That'll work too.
Okay, all right.
I second it.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We are adjourned.